Hey, welcome in. Take two, PHNX Cardinals, live from South Beach, your premier Arizona Cardinal podcast. Like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star wherever you get your programming. Big thanks to our friends at True Fan Travel, getting us up and running here for our definitive road game coverage. Arizona Cardinals at Miami Dolphins. I'm Johnny Venerable. He is Brack. Craig Morgan coming up just right around the corner. Damon, Dawg, we got a capacity crowd here at the beautiful Marriott in Hollywood Beach, Florida. We are fired up, and we're fired up for this matchup, Bo.
We absolutely are. It's a great matchup to do our first kind of PHNX field trip here. We got the whole gang here, Jesse, Cecilia. We've got Chuck, John. It's going to be unbelievable. We're going to have a blast. We're going to be breaking down this game, previewing it. We've got our full predictions. We've got our players of the game, offensive, defensive, our X factors. Damon Dawg's here. He's working hard as he possibly can to get us up and going here. And Craig Morgan will join us here shortly here at the Marriott in Hollywood Beach. But excited about it because True Fan Travel has set us up to have a really fun time next 48 hours.
Yeah, this is an extra show. This week we're knocking off the cobwebs here, and we're fired up for your definitive Cards coverage. And here's the deal. At the end of the day, this Arizona Cardinal team has a chance to do something they've never done in the JG era, and that's win 2 consecutive games in a row.
Oh, my God. No sad stats today, please.
No, this is very sad. A couple sad boys, the opposite, actually, here. As Craig Morgan, PHNX Cardinals beat reporter, joins the show live. Be sure to drop a like here. Subscribe to PHNX Sports. And, we talk about this game. We preview this matchup. The Arizona Cardinals coming off a short week on Monday Night Football, then traveling across country, East Coast. It has not been a recipe for success for this franchise historically. Yet you look at Jonathan Gannon last year going to Philadelphia, going to Pittsburgh. I mean, he has shown with this team in the past that they can win on the East Coast. But, Craig, I ask you, as you join us in front of our crowd here at the Marriott, can Jonathan Gannon win a game, number one, they're not supposed to win 2 weeks in a row?
Well, you want to see that because you want to see progress, right? We want to believe that in this second season of this new regime, they are moving forward. There have been some hits and misses. We don't want to see another blowout loss, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
They've got some challenges, though. More defensive hits, obviously, with Sean Murphy bunting out of the lineup. Roy Lopez, who's one of the guys that you'd call heart and soul of this defense. And then you've got the emotion of Tua returning in this game.
Yeah.
I just feel like the Dolphins are going to be so emotionally charged, at least early in this game. It's a big test for the Cardinals, and they have some things working against them.
Yeah, you can't let that Miami Dolphins offense get immediately right back on track and start to play, go peak Dolphins nostalgia here.
Yeah.
Where they're playing all the big hits, the big bombs to Tua, Waddle's doing the penguin dance in the end zone. Like, you can't be the team that allows that. You got to be more the team that we saw a lot of last year. Sure, there was a way worse roster in year one of a rebuild, but a team that scratched, clawed, and competed for seemingly 4 quarters, right? You don't want to see the Dolphins come out and it's like, hey, this is our get-right game. We were able to kind of get the band back together like Tyreek Hill said earlier this week. You've got to be the team that's going to come out here and say, all right, well, this is going to take a little bit more time. So can you have a repeat performance defensively and then get the offense back on track at the same time? And I think that's what we're looking for. Like, can the Cardinals be the offense that gets back on track tomorrow? Because they've been the team that's been practicing together with their franchise quarterback who's been available. He hasn't been on IR like Tua. And they've been claiming they're close. Marvin Harrison Jr. said, along with his frustrations, feels like they're close. Kyler Murray is saying, I'm frustrated just like you all. We're close. Kurt Warner is looking and breaking it down in 32 minutes of glorious film, saying it's not a play caller problem. It's not a quarterback problem. It's not a wide receiver problem. It's just there's a couple nuanced things that need to be cleaned up, and this offense can get back on track.
Yeah, I feel like I speak for the entire Cardinal Nation. Many of them are here today, by the way, when I say, yeah, we're kind of sick of hearing correctable mistakes, right? It's something we get. We're close. We're almost at the midpoint of the season. So put it together, boys, because the season is whittling away, right? They need to come out with a performance. There's some things working in their favor, too. The Dolphins, maybe without their best defensive lineman in this
Yep.
game, right?
They are without him.
Yeah, they are without him. And they haven't. Listen, this defense, the Dolphins' defense, has been pretty good, but they get a lot of attention for the pressure that they apply to quarterbacks, but they have to do it with blitzes. They're not winning a lot of one-on-one battles. I feel like there could be opportunities for Kyler and the passing game here. They don't sack the quarterback very often either, by the way. So
wait, what defense are we talking about right now?
we're talking about the Dolphins defense.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I should have clarified that.
Right.
But yeah, they only have 9 sacks through 6 games, so it's not like they're getting after the quarterback and having much success getting to him.
Yeah.
There could be opportunities in this passing game.
I think what scares you the most about Miami is what they've done in terms of the resume under Mike McDaniel offensively, but I am not a buyer of them this year. I think you're going off of the sum of their parts, right? Like if Tua's Tua, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, their run game, which is effective in McDaniel. That's why you're scared of this team if you're going into this matchup. This year, though, I mean, they've been pretty fraudulent. They should have lost to Jacksonville week 1. They got blown out by Buffalo. Seattle, they lost 24-3. And again, they lost to Tennessee. That's their only victory are the Titans on the year. So they beat the Patriots.
They gave up 31 to the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, I mean, they're without Tua, they were one of the worst teams in the NFL. Probably with Tua, they're probably right around what the Cardinals have done this year in terms of like 2 to 3 wins. So I on the surface, this is a game where the Cardinals can absolutely win it. And the line's interesting, gentlemen. It's gone back and forth with our friends at Bet365. It started at 2.5, then it jumped to 4.5. Now it's creeping back to 4, below 4 with some sports books to 3.5. So Miami's missing some personnel defensively, whereas the Arizona Cardinals, like, again, we say it week after week. Like, I know Miami has Jalen Ramsey, and they've got, Calais Campbell and some spare parts defensively.
Wait, what year is it for those guys?
Calais Campbell.
No Calais Campbell shade.
2008.
No Calais Campbell shade.
What year was he drafted?
2008.
Yeah, we love Calais Campbell. Calais Campbell
He's having
one of
a
the
great
greatest,
year, too.
one of the greatest Cardinals of all time. What he's as far as his on-field performance, and then transcends the field, the locker room.
Yeah.
I mean, unbelievable what he does philanthropically. Calais Campbell Foundation is unreal. He's a Walter Payton guy.
Hang on, but we don't want to see him do
37.
well today. Yeah. Get that out of here. Like, I love Calais. Not when he's wearing another uniform. There's no reason this team, again, we say it every week. We've been waiting for it for 7 weeks. There's no reason this team doesn't score 20, 25, 26 points tomorrow. Like, they're not going to be able to win this game 17-15 like they did on Monday Night Football. This is just not realistic.
Well, it's going to come down to them. It's going to come down to themselves.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Offensively, yeah, you can't shoot yourselves in the foot. You got to be able to sustain drives. You got to be able to, put yourself in, second, third, and manageable. And then on third downs, when you're not in manageable situations, maybe hit on that. Something they haven't done since week 2. They were so good at it first and second week of the season, and then since it's invisible, and so has been Marvin Harrison Jr. So it's going to be so important to kind of get right, and the opportunity's there. But there also is a reality here where the Dolphins do get right on both sides of the football. The Cardinals just have to be able to combat that way better, especially with their own offense.
I'll be pretty disappointed if the Cardinals offense does not play well. Because again, I think we're all bracing ourselves for, Max Melton versus Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. Like, the Dolphins are going to have big plays in this game. Now, can the Cardinals keep them out of the end zone? They've done a nice job in the red zone, specifically the last couple of weeks. Like, the Cardinal offense, there just aren't any more excuses that Cardinal fans want to hear. Like, your offensive line has not allowed a sack in 2 weeks. Your skilled players are healthy. Your quarterback's healthy. He's top 5 in QBR. Like, you ran for 180 yards against the stout Charger front 7. Like, where are the points at? Where's this passing game at? Like, I feel like we make too many excuses. Not we, but just in general. Like,
you can
in
say
the media. Yeah, Showboy Bo makes too many excuses going into games. Well, you know what? Marvin's got to go up against Jalen Ramsey. Who's covering Trey McBride for the Miami Dolphins tomorrow? Like, that's a matchup you ought to be able to exploit. Underneath, Michael Wilson, Greg Dortch. There ought to be avenues where, at the very least, this should be a shootout. This should be a game where, first to 30-plus points, but we just have such diminishing confidence in this offense. They're averaging 16 points per game the last 5 weeks. That's not good. You're not going to win any games in the NFL doing that.
Short yardage situations, too. It's driving me crazy. And you know what I don't want to see? And I know they had some success with it before. I don't want to see Clayton Tune win.
No?
No, not running back-to-backs.
I'm pretty sure that
put
plays
the ball in the hands
yeah.
of the Tune squad on back-to-back plays.
Instead of your running back who was averaging over 5 yards a game, or your quarterback who literally changes defensive game plans with his legs.
Is he 9 yards per carry? Isn't Kyler 9 yards per carry this season? It's an unreal clip that he's been running at. And that's got to be something that I think you can utilize to get the passing game right. Is the threat? Is that threat has now been established? Just been reestablished. Like you had 180 yards rushing, and the Dolphins turn on the film and they say, "Hey, are we going to do this? Are we going to run the same coverage scheme as the Chargers did? Because that ended up costing them. They lost the football game." Or are they going to just say, "Hey, we're just going to continue to take away who we view as the strength, and that's the best player on offense that opposing defenses have identified in Marvin Harrison Jr., albeit he's only 7 games into his NFL career." But it's so important that they get Marv involved. And in order to do that, like the running game continues to need to be there. And it like last week was kind of mirror images of each other. Like this is also very similar as far as what they want to do. It's like they're going to want to set up the pass with the running game, the Miami Dolphins. Can you slow that down? And Achan is Mostert ready to go, Damon?
He is playing.
So they're full strength there. The only thing they don't really have is a strong offensive line. So if you can do similar like you did last week against J.K. Dobbins in the Chargers rush game and make them one-dimensional, I think that really does turn a guy like Tua, even coming back from an above average, real accurate passer, you can make him look pedestrian.
Well, Craig, I think you've had a great point throughout the course of this weekend is can you stop the wave of emotion that Miami is going to feel? Let's say Miami gets the kickoff. Can you force them into a quick 3 and out? Can you let the doubt creep in that, Tua or not, this is just not a great team, right? They lose their defensive coordinator, Vic Fangio, in the offseason. Doesn't matter what skill players they have. But on the flip side, if you allow them to ride that wave of momentum and punch in early touchdowns in the first quarter, this Cardinal team is not built currently to combat that. Whereas, get off to a fast start and put them in a hole and make them one-dimensional where they can't run the football and they're overly reliant on a returning Tua. That's the recipe for success, I think.
Well, just weather that emotion, right?
Yeah.
It's not going to sustain throughout the entire game. We know that, but it's going to be there early on. The reality with Tua too is he hasn't played in 6 weeks, so that you can say, "Oh, I've been working out on the side," which he's told everyone, "Yeah, I've been ready since the day after because I was symptom free the day after." Mm-hmm. But you can't replicate those reps and that timing specifically without playing in games. So that could be a factor in this game as well if you can just get past the open.
That would be an indictment. Like if he's able to just kind of get back and actually be better than he was before the injury. I mean, this, like you said, Jacksonville lost that game for the Dolphins.
They were up the entire game.
And then they only mustered 10 points against them before he went out against the Bills in that playing on a short week. And they just looked off. I mean, he's got more picks than he does have touchdowns. Even dating back to last season, like his last 5 games, Tua and his offense have struggled. Now, I mean, there's been some good defenses on that schedule, like the Chiefs. Damon he'll run through them and tell you how bad it's an inconsistency it's been. But you can't let this be the ultimate get right game for Tua in this offense.
Like looking back, you mentioned it. So the end of last year, this is a team that lost, I think, like 3 of their last 5 games they lost. They lost to Kansas City in that postseason game. They scored 7 points. They lost to Buffalo. They scored 14, 19 against Baltimore. They did win against Dallas, 22 points. The last time they hit 30 points was against a bad Jets team last December. But like
that Jets team is dead.
They were terrible. So they have gone. This is probably the longest offensive drought that they've had under McDaniel. There's been circumstances that support that. Obviously, you don't have your quarterback. A lot of the defenses, they have been facing upper echelon defenses in the AFC. But, I mean, I think this is their season tomorrow, and they know it. Like, you cannot hang in the AFC dropping a 2-5. And again, like, Cardinals in a lot of ways are in the same boat. Like, I don't think the season is over if they lose tomorrow. I think the 5-5, 4-6 is still viable, and then you've got a favorable schedule in the second half of the year. But on the flip side, I think a win tomorrow, it means more to the Cardinals than it does to Miami. I think if the Cardinals win tomorrow and they get to 4-4,
Miami goes to 2-5 if they lose.
Yeah, but if they win, I don't think much has changed for them. I think they're just trying to keep their head above water. They're not overtaking Buffalo.
No, they have 1 game left with Buffalo, but you're probably not catching them.
I think
they're not catching anybody at 2-5.
Well, I think
they're dead.
Even if they win, I think they're more about like vibes for the rest of the year, so that Tua can be their quarterback beyond this year. Like I think they understand what's at hand here. Whereas the Cardinals, if they win this game and things break right, they could be leading the division at the end of the weekend.
Crazy.
And they could be in a position against, I think, a fraudulent Bears team and a fraudulent Jets team to end the first half of this schedule.
How many frauds?
Lots of fraud. You're telling me you think the Bears are going to lose tomorrow?
Against Washington with
Yeah.
Mariota?
Didn't you pick them, or did
I did? But that's with the coin flip that if Jaden Daniels plays.
Yep.
I mean, because
there's always a clause with you. There's always
Wow.
just an out clause. Listen, I think the Cardinals win tomorrow. If they win tomorrow,
Yeah.
and I'm not saying I'm picking them to win, I think it springboards them to potential postseason contention. I don't think it diminishes their opportunity to do that if they lose, but if 4-4, that's unbelievable.
Yeah, it changes the optics completely, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And look what we were talking about, recently, a couple weeks ago, how this thing was just sliding out of control.
We were talking about it. Johnny was crying, screaming about it. But yeah.
But to come through this
I don't ever
4-4,
cry.
this
I don't
was
ever
we,
cry.
we talked about this all year. If they can get through the first half, and we were even saying 3-5. If they can get to 3-5, that's enough. If they're 4-4 after this game, you're really set up well.
Anybody would have signed
Is
up
there
for that.
but you got to dress that up with context, right? Because like a 3-5 and you get your doors blown off by Miami looks different
That's a good
because then
point.
you've got 3 blowouts on your resume. If it's a 3-5 and it's hey, you lost a heartbreaker, 28-27 and the offense gets back on track, then it looks a lot different.
Yeah, never mind that narrative. Oh, I don't like that narrative very much because I do think the Bears are frauds as well. I think they will beat the Bears, and I'm from Chicago, but I believe the Bears are frauds. So it's a week-to-week league, right? This league is built for overreactions and overanalysis to say, oh, they're done. This offense is a joke. This defense can't stop anyone, and then they do what they did last week, which wasn't pretty. It was pretty ugly, in fact. Sitting there in a press box having to watch
What's
it.
What's
it
an
was a
ugly
good fourth
win
quarter.
for Johnny do?
An ugly win?
Tomorrow?
Yeah.
Johnny doesn't care. He wants a win.
What's a 15-13 win?
There's no way that
Don't make me
happens.
watch that.
You think that happens
No.
again?
No, I'm just asking. I mean, anything's
No.
possible.
I think you take them when you can get them, but I think from Monday's standpoint, I was under the notion up until they kicked that field goal they were going to lose that game Monday.
Okay.
Like,
So what if
I
it's
did
this?
not-
What if it's a similar game?
Then I think that becomes their identity. Like I think it's a one-off on Monday what they did. If they string together multiple performances like that, that's the new Cardinals, and I'm okay with that because it's leading to winning football.
Like Marv, that you took 4th overall. Kyler's making $46 million.
I mean, it's just wins or wins at the end of the day, and the
So-
Cardinals have opportunities to figure it out. Then
okay.
You're okay with Marvin Harrison just being a decoy, a blocking wide receiver?
I mean, he seems like he's okay with it right now. Reluctantly, we didn't post the clip, but Bo sent it to me last night. He'd been hoarding it. There was a question that got asked to Marvin and his availability. What was that, Thursday?
Mhm.
And basically, for lack of a better term, like somebody asked him, like, what do you need to work on? He's like, I don't know, probably my blocking, which leads
Run
us
game.
run game,
Yeah.
blocking in the run game, which leads us to believe that the coaches are pounding Marvin Harrison Jr. to be better as a run blocker, when in all actuality, just gross negligence in terms of his usage. That's what's
block
happening.
if you want the rock, baby. That's their mantra.
How about throw him the ball if you want to score points?
When Johnny heard that last night on the beach, he had 3 more beers.
I thought that if
he nearly walked out in the ocean and just never returned.
when there's a recipe to win and they blatantly ignore it, like I love James Conner. It's great that they can run the football, but it's not leading to the kind of sustainable offensive performances that you want. It's a passing league. And you take a guy 4th overall with that kind of, first of all, he's a tremendous human being. I know we've covered it ad nauseum this week, but this whole, it's kind of a shadow around this franchise right now. You can't buy his jersey. He's not part of the offense. The offense isn't performing. All your talent is on the offensive side. Like, how many times are we going to do pregame shows or preview shows and just be like, this will be the week? I'm not worried about it. They'll get it done. I mean, tomorrow, if they go out there and lay an egg offensively, like, what are we going to be talking about? I mean, you'll probably be like, give Drew Petzing a 5-year contract extension. But listen, it's a production business. We can like people. I like Drew Petzing as a human being. We met him at the combine. But at the end of the day, like, this offense is too damn talented to put up 16 points per game.
Damon, is that the ultimate? Johnny's about to drive a dagger into your heart when he says either respectfully or I like him, and then he's just going to say the nastiest stuff.
Yeah, respectfully is just a keyword for I'm about to eviscerate you and everything you stand for.
Listen, it's a production-based business. Like, we can be friends off air, but like, you want to come over to my house and hang out, that's fine.
He doesn't want to.
He
Drew
doesn't.
Petzing wants nothing to do with
He
it.
passed that.
I'll tell you what you should have every interest in. That's hanging out with us here in Miami. We're fired up. We've got a cruise tonight.
Yep.
Via our friends at True Fan Travel. That is sold out. However, what is not sold out and still very much available, the all-inclusive tailgate package tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. with our friends at True Fan Travel. Just $1.25 for 3 hours of all you can eat, all you can drink en route to the game.
We're losing money on this one.
Yeah, you keep telling people that. Yeah, absolutely.
No, we are. I see this crew in here. People are gonna eat and drink their more than they're paying for. No doubt about it.
We got some signups at
I like. That's why I like this group.
Yeah.
We got some sign. Our guy Dylan at
faith
the
in all of
airport
you.
that we saw in Phoenix, taking off, and he signed up. So again, if you're in the greater Miami area, if you're outside the stadium tomorrow morning tailgating, stop by with us. So the information when you book as to where it's kind of a hidden location. So book now, and then you'll pay for it, and then the location will be revealed.
Sweet.
So we're fired up. Big thanks to our friends at True Fan Travel, first class accommodations. It's great. Everybody got here safely from their respected arrival destinations. So we're fired up. And yeah, the fun doesn't stop there. Of course, your pre and post game show is here on PHNX Sports. Go PHNX.com. And you know, how you feeling about everything?
I mean, as far as the game tomorrow?
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of an enigma, right? I mean, it's really strange with just how this Dolphins offense is played. Like, you just can't base it off of the last couple of games without Tua. I mean, they've been terrible. They've been putting even this defense in compromising positions during that time. And it's really tough to kind of analyze and say, hey, this is what's going to happen. I mean, last week it was like, okay, you see the stats and you see the points that the Chargers give up and the lack of points, and you know that the offense is probably a little bit better than it proves to be statistically, and the defense is probably a little bit worse. Where here it's just like, is this a sleeping giant that's about to awake a little bit with Tua?
But why are we saying that about the Cardinals?
We've been saying that.
Like, why can't we say it? Why can't we
say
it?
You won't stop yelling into a camera and microphone and to listen to the rest of us and say, hey, I agree with you. Like, this offense is underperforming.
Never yelled on this show.
I just want to go back to an earlier point that Johnny made, though, about this Dolphins offense.
Yeah.
It's not like they were lighting it up before Tua went out. No. They were not good against Jacksonville. They were not good against Buffalo. And I don't know if that's just early season where you're still trying to.
Preseason.
Yeah, you're trying to iron things out. Yeah, preseason where sometimes offensive stars don't play a snap.
Yep.
Maybe that impacted it. It's hard to really get a read. But the other side of this offense, that offensive line is not very good.
No.
Yep.
There ought to be matchups to exploit with some of your premier athletes.
Would they lose two offensive linemen? They lost, obviously, the big deal, the Carolina Panthers. They lost their top interior.
Yeah, Robert Hunt was the big subtraction, but Teron Armstead is like, he's a really good player, but he's so unreliable with his health.
Is he out tomorrow? Is he playing?
I mean, he's always questionable. I'm certain he's somewhere on the injury report.
Austin Jackson was a first-round pick, out of USC. He's been middling.
He's okay.
Yeah, Aaron Brewer's fine. I mean, it's an offensive.
The other Aaron Brewer. Yeah.
Armstead was he has no designation. He's going to play tomorrow. He just got a rest on Wednesday, and then he was full participant the rest of the week.
But the Cardinals just exploited a Charger offensive line that's got 3 first-rounders on it. I think the biggest thing, we've talked about it ad nauseum, this Cardinal defense is currently construction cannot defend mobile quarterbacks at all. We saw it with Jordan Love. We saw it with Josh Allen, certainly with Jaden Daniels and Cliff Kingsbury undressed this franchise a couple weeks ago. I'm not going to say Tua can't move, but I certainly don't think Tua is going to be moving around outside the pocket tomorrow.
That's got to be some of the messaging. Like, hey, man, you're not a mobile quarterback.
Right.
You're not a mobile quarterback.
Get rid of the ball quickly.
Yep.
And so if you're the Arizona Cardinals, you got to take that same approach. Like Mack Wilson, Kazir White, Budda Baker, Jalen Thompson, send all these guys. First of all, and Nick Rillis ought to know this, you're not winning with the 4 that you have. I don't care if Miami's offensive line is 5 me's out there. This front 4.
With that. I disagree. I think you can get enough pressure in the interior.
What makes you really
front?
Okay, gotcha. The interior.
Yeah, the interior, like you did against Justin Herbert, where that was kind of the game plan. Like, if they're going to pass, he's going to drop back. The ball's going to come out quick. So you're not going to be kind of stuck there covering for as long as you would. Like, the Cardinals' defense has been eaten alive by true dual threat quarterbacks. But more of the statuesque quarterbacks, they've done a really good job against. From Goff to last week from Herbert. Like, Herbert's athletic, but he's not a guy that's going to get out and really kind of crush you if you don't contain. Like, and I think Tua's that's the type of quarterback he is, and even more so with the obviously the situation he's coming back from.
Yeah, and it's imperative they attempt to stop the run as well as they did. They shut down J.K. Dobbins. Can they do that against Devon Achane? And more. Raheem Mostert is playing, we assume. So, I mean, that it starts with the run defense. If the run defense is there, then you make Tua and this Miami offense one-dimensional, Justin Herbert threw for almost 400 yards against the Cardinals with Will Desley and a bunch of spare parts. So that's a concern. I don't think it's like Miami's going to get through the air. Like I think we'd all be shocked beyond belief. We're sitting here for this post-game show this time tomorrow, and Tua and this offense was shut down completely. I think between Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, like there are going to be opportunities in that secondary, but can you limit the amount of times they get into the end zone? Can you convert what usually would be touchdowns to field goals? And then on the flip side, can Kyler Murray in this offense force the issue? Like, as much as I appreciate what Chad Ryland has done the last couple of weeks outside of the block kick, like certainly don't want to see 6'8" Calais Campbell attempt to block his kicks. I think if the Arizona Cardinals, you have nothing to lose. You need to be aggressive offensively. You go for it on fourth down, just not with Clayton Tune. Jonathan Gannon did this multiple times last year. I would not be surprised to see a fake punt in this game in an attempt to take the emotion out of it, keep sustained drives prolonged. Like we've harped on it all week. What was one of the best byproducts of Monday early when the Cardinals were cooking offensively is you kept your defense off the field.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're 3 and out, like we've seen this team do so many times, especially in the first half, like you're leaving yourself susceptible to what this Miami team wants to do, and that's overwhelm you through the air.
I think we all want to see the receivers get involved. We can all agree on that at this point. It's been unbelievable to see how little impact the wide receivers on this team have had. If like the past 2 weeks, their top receivers have been Trey McBride and James Conner. That's okay. You can have that on occasion, but we'd like to get them more involved. At the same time, and I'm curious what you would say philosophically about this. James Conner clearly is. He's like the barometer of this offense, right? When he has success, they win games. I'll read you the numbers. In the 3 wins, he has 59 carries for 309 yards, averaging 5.2 a pop. Mm-hmm. And if you take out the Commanders game, and I know you'll agree with me on this because that was like largely meaningless rushing yards.
Yeah.
Often they're playing soft or they're, the Commanders had control of that game very early.
Yeah.
If you look at the 3 losses.
It was actually the most dominant win in the NFL this season.
35 carries for 91 yards, 2.6 per carry in the other 3 losses. So he is the barometer of the offense, but how do you want that to blend with getting the receivers involved a little bit, showing a downfield passing attack? Yeah,
it obviously means it works for you, but it works in the form of you're going to have to make some plays down the stretch, and it takes away the ability to have balance. Like, what's balance if you can't get a passing attack? Like, if you establish the run and James Conner's cooking, but you can't get anything going on downfield, you're just going to have to rely on that as your only way to win a football game. And that's tough in the NFL this day and age with the ability to kind of put up points in a quick way on offense and the passing attack. So the only way, like, you really do take advantage of James Conner being a beast like he's been. I think in his last 9 games, he's nearly 1,000 yards from scrimmage. It's unreal.
Yeah.
He's been awesome. But like Baldy was telling us in back-to-back weeks, it's like you've got Trey McBride, you got James Conner. You need somebody to be that second option in this passing attack. And whether it's a combination of Drew Petzing, Kyler Murray, and the receivers, like they have to get on the same page and be able to take advantage of maybe some defenses stacking a bit in the box.
Well, they were built to throw the ball downfield. And what's frustrating for me is you watch Michael Wilson as a rookie have 16 yards per catch, and you could see the potential there. And then you mix in a breakout campaign for Trey McBride, and you thought, hey, Marv's the icing on the cake. Like, he's going to make this a crescendo kind of form altogether. And this is going to be a well-rounded group, and the Cardinals have regressed offensively, which is unacceptable. And again, like the frustrating part is I know Kyler Murray, Drew Petzing, JG, they say all the right things publicly, like we're close, there are plays to be had. I know you mentioned the Kurt Warner breakdown. Like, I don't want to hear about close. Like, you either can do it or you can't do it. Produce on Sundays, right? Nobody wants to hear you talk Monday through Saturday about we're right there, because with my visual standing point, like, you scored off a Kyler Murray broken play on Monday Night Football for your last touchdown. Outside of that, you were not close, right? I mean, you're nickel and diamond at the line of scrimmage. You do not throw beyond the sticks. You do not throw 10-plus yards. You're the worst team in the NFL in converting on third downs over 10 yards. Like, where is that offense? This is not an offense led by Will Levis or Daniel Jones or some of these teams where like that comes without saying. It's common knowledge. Like, we had expectations when Joshua Dobbs and Clayton Tune started for this team last year. Like, there's limitation on what we can do. You have to win a certain way. There should be no limitations when you've got number 1, number 18, and number 85 lining up in the passing game. Like, this should be one of the most exciting this should be like Miami to some extent. And the fact that it looks so difficult, I think I know Marvin Harrison Jr. did not forget how to play football. And I know Kyler Murray can sling the ball with the best of them downfield. He's got one of the strongest arms in the NFL. That's why I keep going back to, well, it's the foundation of their philosophy offensively. They are being coached to run the football, to throw it, beneath the sticks. This is what's being asked of their coaching. So I'm sure they're frustrated. And if it was working every Sunday, I could be on board with it. The only positive that I can see from it is the lack of hits on Kyler Murray, because he's getting the ball out fast, and maybe this is their nuanced way to keep him healthy for 17 weeks. It doesn't matter if he's healthy if they're under 500. You got to take some shots. You got to compromise a little bit. Where's the vertical passing game that we saw last year with the big plays downfield? Rondale Moore would catch a couple deep balls, right? So they haven't tried that once with Marvin, it feels like.
They did in the Detroit game. That was the game where he had 11 targets and just 4 catches, 5 catches.
I've already forgotten what that looks like.
But that also was a product of what Detroit was allowing them to do. Like, Chargers, Buffalo, they're not going to let you do that. But I still think that you try to take your great playmakers and just go, if that's the scheme and you find a way, or you force the issue a little bit. I mean, what we talk about, even though Marvin Harrison Jr. hasn't turned 50-50 balls into what we thought he was going to do, him turn them into like 60-40, 70-30 balls. It's turned into just incompletions. But you still got to try to get him into the offense, involved. Like, if you are going to have an underneath passing attack, get the ball in his hands. Like me and Akai was saying, hit him on a slant. Hit him, and
give him an end around.
Yeah.
The bubble screen.
Exactly. When your gadget play, if your offense is James Conner, don't have James Conner be the gadget play where he's going from the Wildcat quarterback where they had like a 6-yard loss on that play last week. Give me an end around with Marv. Give me something with some of the playmakers that aren't getting enough juice and love in this offense as of yet.
Damon, Dawg, you want to get to some of these super chats, my guy?
Let's do it. We got 3 locked and loaded. We're going to start off with Andy Lawrence in 5 pounds says, explain to me as a newish overseas fan, why is it seemingly normal to you Cardinals would even consider letting Connor go at the end of the year? Seems mad.
I think historically running backs as they approach the age of 30 tend to drop off, but I think this is James Conner's having like the perfect combination of not a renaissance, but he's doubling down on a great season last year with the combination of guys like Derrick Henry keeping it going, right? We saw how egregious, Dallas was for not pursuing a veteran experienced running back. And I also think, to your point, like I like Trey Benson. He has not shown the ability to be the every down back. I think that would be a mistake at this point. Cardinals are going to have over $125 million in cap space. You're telling me they couldn't afford to franchise tag James Conner? They couldn't give him a 2-year deal? This team has a lot of needs, but most of them are defensively. But you cannot let number 6 leave at this point. Ask me again in December, January. Could change theoretically, but I mean, like he's really the heart and soul of the team right now.
100%. And the other thing to look at with Connor too is he doesn't have the mileage. You look at the age, but he doesn't necessarily have the mileage from previous seasons. So he's probably got more in the tank than some guys.
I think this was the right move. I mean, I don't know if you extend him before the season because it's been inevitable that he gets injured, right?
Yeah.
And as you said, it's the production once you hit a certain age as a running back just traditionally falls off a cliff, and for him to get stronger and stronger, that bucks that trend. And Gannon said something like that at the end of last season. It's like, all right, well, he's continuing to prove that. Good for him because he's going to, make more and more money. It probably wouldn't make any sense to him to sign a deal right now and just at least show that he could potentially hit the open market and then hopefully cash in before March next season in free agency. But I think he's proven to you, like, look, at 29, he's been able to kind of been one of those few running backs like Derrick Henry this season that isn't falling. He's only getting stronger. He's playing some of his best football. So yeah, if that's something you can work out, I think he's made the case for it. But at the same time, like I understand why the team hesitated in going and negotiating an extension this offseason.
Keep it going, Damon.
Let's get next super chat from Richard 199. He asks, "Where's BG?"
Britton was supposed to join us, but he had a family conflict come out last minute, personal conflict, but he will be back with us in the fold next weekend. But we got enough folks holding it down with us.
He said until this team scores 3 offensive touchdowns, I'm not coming on this show.
He said, I asked to be a part of the offense, and they said no, so he took that personally.
He said, unless they feed Marv, I'm out.
Yeah.
Richard comes back 499 and says, just came back from my coaching my soccer team, Purple Panthers 5-1.
Huge.
Can I coach the Cardinals offense?
You're next in line.
That's five goals. I mean, that's an outburst.
That's the equivalent of like a 40 burger in the NFL. Something that this team knows very little about. We want to get into some predictions here, Damon Dawg.
Let's do it.
We've got our predictions. We can't physically see them here, but we're going to be rest assured we know what they are. We're fired up to talk to you about that. But before we do, we're fired up for all of our new diehards and our seasoned diehards. You can sign up right now. Go PHNX.com. Become a diehard. Just $4 a month, $48 for the year is going to get you a free piece of merch at our All-City shop. On top of that, of course, exclusive access to the PHNX Cardinals, PHNX Sports member Discord, 20% off all future purchases from the online shop, exclusive access to tons of our events. You get unlimited reads, unlock everything at GoPHNX.com, including the fabulous work of our PHNX Cardinals beat reporter Craig Morgan. Never been a better time to become a diehard. Welcome, everybody, and big thanks to the folks that have supported us since day one. $4 a month. Can't beat that.
Yeah, no 18 jerseys in the team shop, but you can get the MHJ T-shirt, and that can be your free T-shirt for becoming a diehard.
Yeah.
It basically pays for itself. It's unreal. And, yeah, the work that Craig is churning out there, Jesse Freeman this offseason for the D-backs, Gerald Bourguet trying to break down an inexplicable Suns loss yesterday.
Yikes.
You want full access to that, go PHNX.com. And then that Discord, as you mentioned, it's popping off. If you remember the Discord, you saw late night video drop last night of one Johnny Venerable getting in the lab.
We're very fortunate. I don't know if they did this on purpose. They put the gym right next to our room as if to say, hey, we've got you, fellas. We can take care of you on and off the field. So I have to be ready to go. I have to be ready to potentially scrum it up with Dolphin fans.
Did you see the video in the Discord?
I don't think I need to.
Oh, man.
I need to go look at it.
That's exclusive to the Discord. We actually keep that in the Discord for just to find people that are the diehards.
For a lot of reasons.
But seriously, like, we're going to be at this tailgate tomorrow.
What were you lifting? What were those dumbbells?
Don't worry about that.
What
We're just doing 30.
Tell me.
We're just doing 35s as a light warm up, and then yeah, shameless plug. You know, this guy's getting ready for today, and I sneak off and I go back to the gym today because I'm addicted to the grind. There were a couple middle-aged women in there, and they were asking about the show, and I was plugging it. I'm always on the grind, so.
Don't talk to them anymore.
They've asked.
The hotel's asked us. Leave them alone.
Did you specifically ask for the room that was closest to the gym?
No, they just know. They took a look at me like, we got you, man. We know you're going to be, you're going to be thirsty for some weights, and that's what we're doing. But seriously, we're going to be at this tailgate tomorrow. It's going to be fabulous. And then there's going to be some Miami Dolphins fans sniffing around. And while these two schlums are up in the press box, like Damon and I and the rest of everybody here, we're gonna hold it down for Cardinal fans.
You are.
You think we're going to let people get in our face? Absolutely not.
Oh, wow.
Let's get it going with our predictions here. That took a dark turn. We're gonna have fun. It'll be fun.
Well, we do have one more super chat to get to if you want
let's
to
do it.
hop on that. Yanks 499 says #1 pass defense in the league. I'm expecting heavy run and play action for the Cards. Do you guys think Monty stands pat at the trade deadline with 45 down?
Whew, that's a whole
Dennis
lot.
Hardeck.
It's a whole lot there. In fact, I'm writing about that.
Yeah.
You can read my preview
later
today.
We've got 2 games between now and the deadline. If they win this week, I think that puts monster pressure on Monty Ossenfort because, like, you have to be excited that you found a way the last couple weeks on the defensive side of the football, but you also have to be realistic. Like, is it sustainable to the finish line? And that's a emphatic no.
I think we all assume Buffalo's going to beat Seattle. I think that's foregone conclusion at this point.
Yes.
49ers, Cowboys, I'm confident in the Cowboys, but again, like, even if the Niners somehow win that game, if the Cardinals win, I expect them to be in first place come Monday morning. And if you're a first place, albeit at 4-4, and you're not actively buying, especially with a quarterback who is making $50 million, like, you're not on the the Drake May timeline here. Even like Jaden Daniels, he could potentially sit because they're thinking about the big picture.
Right.
You've got Kyler Murray, 27 years old. You're in first place after 8 weeks, and you're not buying. That's an indictment of your general manager, and we will keep the pressure on Monty Ossenfort because, again, like, I don't see this defense playing lights out to the point tomorrow where you're like, hey, or Monday, like, hey, they don't need upgrades. They're set. They got everything they need. Their leading sacker on the year just went down. He had 3 sacks on the season. You were telling me if Naquan Jones has a sack come tomorrow, he's going to lead the team with sacks.
Yeah.
That's an indictment of your front seven, not of your defensive coordinator, but the talent that you're putting on display. there should be no reality in which if the Cardinals are in first place, they sit out the trade deadline.
Yeah, this division is so winnable this season. It feels like 2008 all over again.
Yeah.
You just, wow, what happened there?
Somebody just sold out there with the entire tray of plates, unfortunately.
Yeah, they heard about Monty Ossenfort potentially sitting out the trade deadline. They got real aggressive here. Listen, I think Monty Ossenfort has done a nice job via the draft, and I also think the second half of this year, how many times we've heard people say this, like executives, GMs across every league, it's like, well, we feel like our young players that we drafted are going to be like our acquisitions, right? And I think there's some truth to that. I think we're going to see, guys like Darius Robinson eventually play. And
well, that's the one thing I don't want to hear. Is like, hey, we feel like with Darius coming back, was like we made.
You're 100% going to hear that.
Yeah.
If Monty Ossenfort speaks or Jonathan Gannon alludes to the trade deadline, they're going to be like, well, we got a first.
Hold on, he won't. As far as Jonathan Gannon, he'll be up there and he'll just wear it for his GM. But yeah, you have to get some. And we're not saying, hey, go out there and get Myles Garrett or Max Crosby or anything like that. But just pick the bones of these bad teams, these dead teams. Get some
Carolina.
Get a Carolina, get a Browns player, whoever bows out this season. I mean, you got Miami that's going to drop to 2-5. I mean, I don't know if they'll admit that they're dead, but like when you look at the Patriots, could you look there? Like, why not?
What about
Tennessee? Was one of those teams we talked about earlier this week.
What about if you beat the Dolphins tomorrow, and then on Monday you call the Dolphins, you're like, can we have Calais Campbell for like a 6th-round pick? Like something like that would enthuse the locker room.
Sign
the character of the player. And again, he's not going to change the dynamic
at this point.
season.
He's not blocking anybody from getting snaps. Like the people that you wanted to get in there and get snaps, like a Justin Jones, a Bilal Nichols, are out for the season.
Yeah, they're done.
If you get somebody and you bring in a pass rusher, it's not gonna stand in the way of B.J. Ojulari getting snaps. He's gone. He's out. So like as far as developing, you're not gonna develop Julian Okoro.
No, and again, like the B.J. Ojulari argument, like I think B.J. Ojulari is a lottery ticket at this point. Like if you're going into the offseason,
I'm just saying, like the rest of the way, like he's not coming back. He's not going to play this year. So there's nobody
in the front seven that's untouchable to the point where an acquisition could block them. And to Gannon's point, when he talked to us at the combine, they rotate 60% of the time, like their defensive line. It's not like
the high percentage,
right?
Yeah.
It's not like the offensive line where like you want those 5 guys to start all year and Kyler Murray quarterback. Like you can have guys who maybe don't start for you defensively that are thrown in, for a baseball term in late innings and throw a couple fastballs and help you close out games. That's what Jonathan Gannon's defense did so well in Philadelphia. Flush that position unit, right? Where, even if you got a Calais or somebody like that to come in, they wouldn't have to be a default starter, although the Cardinals are in no business to poo-poo any kind of addition and not have them come in and start defensively.
I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing like an Azeez Ojulari, as we mentioned earlier this week. I mean, I think at 24 years old, familiarity with his brother being a part of this organization, 4 sacks on the season, the ability to re-sign him this offseason. The Giants have a couple guys standing in his way right now on that defensive line. They've got a season that's trending down, shocker to nobody, as far as in the NFC East, which is stacked. So yeah, that if you win, when I've been saying like, hey, prove that you're worthy of making a deal, and I think at 4-4, based on the schedule that they've faced, and they've survived and actually came out, better than a lot of people expected. Make a deal.
Do you see him waiting though until the very deadline? I mean, it's usually how GMs operate anyway.
That's the thing I've got a problem with though, Craig.
Is you've got the Bears game as well, right? So you have a better assessment after 9 games than you do after 8 of where this.
But if you go in 4-4, like, and we've seen how this team, I don't know, lack of a better term, like drags their feet a little bit, or is very slow incorporating people either that have even been in the building but haven't been on the practice field or the playing field, like. It's like, when can you expect that person that you want to make an impact to be able to get the opportunity to make an impact? So if you don't make a deal this week and you make it the week of the deadline, you've got one game and then and then you've got your bye week. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, this team has no excuses if they win tomorrow. Yeah. You have to make a move.
It's a good problem.
Will they make a move? Will they win this game? Let's get to prediction time. And let's start with our PHNX Cardinals beat reporter, Craig Morgan. Who is your offensive, defensive, and X-Factor stars of the week ahead of Miami?
I'm going back to the well. I think I've done this 3 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
It's not fair, but Trey McBride has been a big part of this offense. When I look at the way the Dolphins are constructed, again, they don't necessarily get to the passer, but they're going to apply pressure. It's going to open up holes, and I feel like he's the guy that can really eat in this game. He's been arguably, maybe not even arguably, their best offensive player, at least from the skill positions. I really like Paris' season as well. So that's where I'm going on offense. Defense, really, really concerned about the cornerback room. I know we haven't talked that much about it, and I'm not even saying that Sean Murphy-Bunting being out of the lineup is a big hole to fill because, let's be honest, he hasn't played that well.
Right.
But they're thin at this position. Not a lot of guys have performed well. Max Melton got a chance, and once he was in for significant reps, he looked like a rookie. So I'm going with Garrett Williams. I think they need a really big game from Garrett Williams. This is going to be a difficult game. Like you mentioned, Tua coming back, they're going to try to establish a downfield passing game. So you need one of these corners to step up big. For my X factor, Dante Stills. Is there anybody else left in the interior of the line?
Naquan Jones, Ben Stilley played well. Ben Stilley actually looked good in training camp when I was there. With
showing out for you.
Still snaps have increased. I think it was at 55% last week. Is that what it was? He's been playing a lot. They've been utilizing him a lot in the interior, so I could see him making an impact on he needs to make an impact. Let's say it that way. Could be an X factor either way. I'm worried about the center of their defense with all the losses.
Ben Stilley, former Dolphins legend. It's a revenge game.
I like that. I need that. Those are the kind of headlines I'm looking for, Damon.
Yeah.
Bo, you keep us going. I like Craig's predictions. Bo's going a little different route here.
I do. You know what? I'm going to work backwards here because we were talking about the revenge game part of this. Elijah Higgins, former 6th-round pick of the Miami Dolphins, and they thought they might be able to sneak him maybe to the practice squad, and Monty Ossenfort scooped him up. He liked the converted wide receiver as a tight end, and Elijah Higgins has been a nice little X factor for the Arizona Cardinals, opposite Trey McBride as tight end 2 here. To much to Johnny Venerable's dismay, it's not tip time. Elijah Higgins getting it done. I think that he gets a couple, maybe 2-3 targets, and he can do something big with it. 2 touchdowns in the season. That's 2 more than Trey McBride. I think he's been big in the red zone. He's been big when Kyler Murray's extended plays. I look for him to have a bit of a role tomorrow. So he's my X factor. We'll go with the defensive star. And you see that a bunch of opposing safeties, and it's a good thing, bad thing against the Dolphins, rack up some tackles. That's what Budda Baker's skill set is set up for. Can he make a play? Can he force a fumble? Can he get his hands on the football, something he hasn't done that often?
Improving his trade stock, is that what you're saying?
Maybe improve his trade stock. Yeah, I think he's going to be ready to go. I'm going a little chalk here on the defensive side. I'm going to take Baker because he's one of the last few men standing from the initial starting defense to start the season. And then true chalk, going with the guy that's been this offense, James Conner. Can he keep it going on the ground? I expect him to do so. With a big game, he will tap into over 1,000 yards from scrimmage over his last 9 games. He's been a beast. Give me James Conner, maybe even a trip to the end zone. Love to see it.
I'll keep it going. I like your selections. You are chalk boy today, though. I'll go off the beaten path, at least for my first one. I think Michael Wilson has a big day. I think he has his best game of the season. If we talk about Marvin Harrison Jr. going up against Jalen Ramsey, I know that they have mentioned they're going to keep Jalen Ramsey on one side of the ball, but I would imagine he's going to be lined up against number 18.
Nice little system cornerback play there.
Yeah, and I don't have a lot of faith that the Cardinals can do right by Marv right now. And so Michael Wilson's been in this offense. This is his 25th game for Drew Petzing, and I think there are going to be opportunities for him to find the middle portion of the field. He had a touchdown against the Buffalo Bills in this same division. It's not apples to oranges, but I do think Michael Wilson's poised for a nice game. We forget amongst all this Marv drama, like Michael Wilson's not getting the kind of targets that he envisioned as well. Like it's my argument this entire week is this entire passing game is broken. It's not exclusive to Marvin. So Michael Wilson, I think, gets his, and then I'm with Craig defensively. It's got to be Garrett Williams. Do your best. Hold on for dear life against these Miami receivers. He's been the Cardinals' best corner. He's been one of the best corners in the NFL this season. Second-year player out of Syracuse, a foundational piece. Can you get him and Jalen Thompson to rough up Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill the best they can? Let him have an opportunity to get a hands on a football from Tua, who has been known to throw interceptions, especially over the middle of the field. Speaking in the middle of the field, Hjalte Frohold's my X factor. I didn't think he played particularly well, especially against Green Bay. You think about the matchup against Calais Campbell. Miami loses their best defensive player this week. Defensive lineman, Damon, you're going to have to keep me honest here on that individual's name. Broke his orbital bone in his face.
Zach Sealer.
Yeah, during practice this week. So now it's Froholt in the prime of his careers versus an aging Calais Campbell. And if Big 72 can do his job against the 6'8", monster once upon a time out of Miami, Cardinals should have opportunities to run the football. So Hjalte Froholt, again, I think he's going to be a big indicative if the Cardinals can keep Kyler Murray upright in this game.
I like your Michael Wilson pick, by the way.
Thank you.
You know what he doesn't need to work on? Blocking. He's already good at it. So he and Marv can throw a lot of blocks downfield for Trey McBride in this offense this week. That's what they're good at.
Reward
That's why they
him
have
for all that blocking.
That's why they're here.
Reward him.
I'll keep it going, and
Yeah.
I'm going to piggyback off of Craig. I'm going with Trey McBride. I think if it's not broke, don't fix it. Trey McBride's the best player on this team. Continue to feed him week in, week out.
You know
I think
what Sunday is?
it's National Tight End Day. I mean, come on.
That's a good point.
Get your Trey McBride props in now with our friends at Bet365. Trey McBride, just keep feeding him. He's the best player. We don't have to worry about him warming up. He's just that guy already. So I'm going with him, and then I'm going out on a limb here. I'm going Zaven Collins, defensive star. I think his name has been so quiet this season.
Can you give me a different take on that one?
It's been so
Did you
quiet.
say season or career?
Yeah.
Didn't hear that.
No, yeah, you're right. I mean, I think he's due for having a decent game here, but I also think that the cupboard is pretty bare on defense, and I didn't really know who to go with. So
That's fair.
I'm sticking with Zaven Collins. I think the Dolphins' offensive line is not great, and maybe he buys a sack.
Yeah.
Big defensive play. I don't know. But X Factor, I'm going with Max Melton. Really could be the whole cornerback group, but I'm gonna focus in on him. No Sean Murphy Bunting. He's gonna have to have a big game matching up against Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill.
I like that pick of Max Melton for a couple different reasons. So Max Melton physically looks the part, and I thought did okay early on in that game on Monday night, but he was thrust into the starting lineup, taking over for Sean Murphy Bunting. This week, what did he do? He practiced with the ones all week.
Yeah.
So I think there's an opportunity for him to have an improvement. And he's the Cardinals, I think, physically their most gifted corner. So listen, at the end of the day, Tyreek Hill, I think we all can agree, Tyreek Hill was going to eat Sean Murphy Bunting for lunch regardless. So why not go out there and throw your best corner, a top 60 draft pick, somebody that Jonathan Gannon's very high on, let him go out there and scrap it up with Tyreek Hill. I have no issue with that, and I think he's going to be better equipped to handle this pressure that comes with it because he was not prepared to play the entirety of the game for Sean Murphy Bunting on Monday Night Football.
I'd rather him get OBJ assignment tomorrow.
Well, who's going to be on Tyreek?
Star?
Probably Star.
No, that's not a winning matchup, I don't think. Respectfully.
I think with the Dolphins,
Garrett Williams on Jalen Waddle, that's good in the slot, right?
they're the other Dolphins receivers are so bad that you pretty much can just not focus in on them whatsoever.
Is OBJ playing?
Yeah, he should. He hasn't done a thing all season. Jonnu Smith probably is the third pass catching option.
I'm going to be sick if OBJ has a good game.
He usually
tomorrow.
does pretty well against the Cardinals.
I hate it.
Let's get to our predictions. Final predictions for this game. Are any of thus four picking the Cardinals to win this game? Survey says no. Everybody is on the side of Miami. Now, it looks different for a lot of us. I'm happy to go first here.
Yours is the most craziest. You got them dropping a 40 burger on it.
I am concerned about this defense. I want to be proven wrong. I have more confidence, strangely, in this defense than this offense, but just by default.
You do know Vance Joseph isn't walking through that door.
Yeah, that's true. The Cardinals, when they're bad defensively, they're really bad. Like we saw against the Green Bay Packers, we saw it against the Commanders. Are the Cardinals just going to be up for a fight tomorrow? Are they going to just say, you know what, we've had a tough week, we're missing guys, give us another week, we'll go home, we'll get right? I want to see a spectacle. I want to see points. You asked me, would I take a shootout and an L if it meant Marv got on track and it's something to build off of? I'm not going to go that far, but here's what I don't want to see, 40-10. I don't want to be demoralized on both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
I think this defense is going to give you a great performance every other week, and that should be enough for this team. I need to see something from this offense. I'm trying to will them into existence, will them into the end zone. I think they have their best day, knock on wood, in the past 5 games. Now, none of you guys agree with me on that, and that's fine, but I think we're going to be sitting here and we're going to be saying, offense, that's what we want to see, and defensively, what can you do?
Yeah, I'm going to go with what I said last week as far as the confidence, as far as picking this team to win. Prove me wrong. They haven't won back-to-back games since 2021. It's been that long.
That's
so
sad.
until they do it, I'm not going to. The smart bet is not do factor here.
Especially on the
as much
road,
as
right?
we want to see it. I've got the Cardinals losing a close one, 24-16. So that does cover the points as far as the Dolphins go.
Yeah.
24-16. Like the prove it part here, can the offense can they find the end zone 3 times? I want to see that. I just haven't seen it for far too long. Please prove me wrong.
I cannot believe that I'm looking at this graphic and I have the 3rd highest scored prediction for the Miami Dolphins, who are averaging 11.7 points per game. I'm picking the Dolphins to win this game 30-20, and I was looking at that like, is that too many points? Is that expecting too much? I just feel like there's going to be so much emotion in this game from the Dolphins side. I feel like they are so jacked for this game that it's going to be a breakout game for them offensively, which is awful timing, obviously. Tua could have stayed out another week, could have come back earlier, gotten this over with. I just feel like this is a hornet's nest they're walking into.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree, and I just think that this is honestly just a bad matchup for the Cardinals in general. They don't have the horses on the defensive side of the football. I don't think with a full-scale Dolphins offense up and running, and the offense just hasn't been consistent enough this season to match that output and what I think the Dolphins are going to do. So I'm going 34-21 Dolphins.
So we're looking at the first 30-point game for the Dolphins since this early December
last year against a bad Jets team. And again, Cardinals offense in a weird way, they can help.
I'm out on that, but I don't believe that.
Okay.
I don't think it's just like, hey, we got the band back together and we're going to pick up where we left off. Where that's actually not where you left off. You haven't played like that for a long time.
I want to believe. I want blitzers to be sent at Tua in a relentless fashion, and I want him to throw, interceptions over the middle of the field. But there were wide open players for the Chargers on Monday Night Football that don't have a tenth of the skill of this receiving
I did like the resolve of the team after that bad first drive last week to be able to kind of get back on track. After Justin Herbert goes 4 for 4, 70-plus yards, including a ball that should have been put in the end zone or put at the 1 for the very least.
Yeah.
And then they make a good play and punch it out and goes in the end zone and it's going the other way. They were able to they realized that they needed to play a little bit better brand of defense and they did the remainder of the game. I think that they got a little bit more, mental toughness than we're giving them credit.
Maybe
they're just going to come out and say, hey, well, this is a tough matchup. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and Tua's back. Like, hey, we're just going to chalk it up. We're playing on a short week. Let's play for week 9. I don't think that this team's built like that.
We got a super chat here. I do want to acknowledge, Damon. It does say, as my screen crashes out, so go ahead and read it, my guy.
Yeah, Yanks499 comes back, says, scummy predictions, SMH, after saying Dolphins offense wasn't any good, even with Tua in the line. Y'all got them running it up, LOL. # typical Cards fan.
No, we are
everybody but me.
We are scummy boys. I want to, Yanks, I want to believe that the Cardinals have turned the corner defensively. They can overachieve based on the sum of their parts, and they have the mantra, their head coach, and they're going to be scrappy every week, and we're going to look up and we're going to be like, how are they doing it, right? And this is another opportunity to do that. You've got a guy who has not played football in over a month, and there's going to be, whether he says it publicly or not, hesitations on his part given what happened against Buffalo. There is an avenue in which the Cardinals play well defensively again. However, based on the track record and the trajectory of this team and what Jordan Love was able to do to them and Jalen and the Commanders in subsequent weeks, the Cardinals defense every other week for the last month has not played well. And now you're talking about a short week after a big emotional game Monday night on the road. If Tyreek Hill an end around, who's tackling him? Who's going to penetrate on this defensive line? If Tua is allowed to sit back that first possession and throw darts and gets really comfortable, I don't know how the Cardinals come back from that, at least defensively. It really has to start in the first quarter, Bo.
I'm a little hesitant here. I mean, Johnny's kind of on a bit of a heater. He's 2-0. His last 2 weeks picking
Some would say, I know ball.
But then at the same time, Johnny, who is not gotten right as far as the hold or fold the line, he's 0-7.
Mm-hmm. Had to bring that up.
His overall stats are horrible, right? He's got 2 wins on the season.
Worst ever, some might argue.
Okay. Well,
way below 60%.
Maybe just end the show.
That Johnny has the Cardinals in a lopsided loss. Is that good?
I was the only one to pick them last week, and they did win. But I had zero confidence in that pick, full transparency. And the week before, I wanted to pick them, but I was bullied to not picking them based on the trajectory of my picks. I do think there's an avenue for them to win tomorrow.
Yeah.
I think it would be a huge momentum boost, and I think it would. Like I'm ready to say right now, if the Arizona Cardinals win tomorrow, they will make the playoffs. But if they don't win tomorrow, I'm not going to say that that's dead and buried. But it does change the kind of the expectations, the dynamic for the rest of the season. If you get to 4-4 in this division with the Carolinas and the New Englands and the Seattles, who I think are big time frauds, on the second half of your season, the Vikings are now downtrodden. Who knows what the Niners and the Rams are going to look like at the end of the year. There is an avenue, like even if you don't get to the playoffs, like they get to 4-4, I think we would all be disappointed if they don't have a winning record at the end of this year. Like they have overcome a lot. I will give them all the flowers tomorrow. I want to do that. So we'll have to just wait and see. Like that, this is a very tough game, and it will tell us a lot about where this team has gone through this rebuild.
Yeah. Oh, you said it.
I did, yeah.
You said the word.
I think if they win tomorrow, could we just say like maybe the rebuild's over?
Johnny's been in therapy for weeks. I don't know if you all knew this. Been working on that word.
Tremendous strides.
Yeah. Just being able to say it out loud.
I'm proud of you, man.
Yeah.
I don't think end the show. That's disingenuous. Nothing you're saying is sincere right now.
I don't think we've got to it yet, but like, just how Cardinals is it for Tua to come back in this game specifically?
100%.
Yeah, exactly.
100%.
We haven't gotten to that point,
His
but it's just
career, his season. It was all supposed to be done when that happened. Respectfully to him, I'm glad he's okay. Can you wait another week?
A week earlier, this is an easy win for the Cardinals.
It's like Phoenix sports in a nutshell, actually.
Yeah.
It goes beyond the Cardinals.
Jordan Love
That's
came back
sports.
after his knee popped, and he's fine. He's lighting up the Cardinals.
Right.
Like, the Cardinals don't get Malik Willis. They don't get Skylar Thompson or Jacoby Brissett. It's like, oh, my God.
Especially when you get all the stats, and it's like, oh, the Cardinals have played the hardest schedule through 5 games, but it really does thin out. It's like, well, yeah, it's based on the Dolphins' record without Tua. It's like, okay, that's a different game.
We looked at this matchup before the season. We're like, this is going to be a really hard game for the Cardinals to win.
Yep.
Well, we're fired up. We got content continuously throughout the course of this weekend. Big thanks to, again.
It's mostly just going to be Johnny Jim shots.
It's fine. Everybody, listen, give the people what they want. Pay for our incredible deal tomorrow morning, $125. The premier tailgate right outside the stadium. Sign up. We're going to put a link in the description, in the show notes, and in the chat with our friends at True Fan Travel. Big thanks to everybody that has come out. Big thanks to everybody coming out to the Booze Cruise tonight. We've got so much festivities, so much good stuff planned. We're going to be hanging out at the game. You want to come by, say hello. Let's chat it up about Cardinals, Dolphins. But it's imperative. Like this stream. Go to gophnx.com. Become a diehard. Big thanks to everybody that came out. We're fired up. Bo, Brack, Craig, Morgan, Damon, Dawg, any final thoughts?
Make sure to drop your score prediction in the comments here. We'd love to hear what you guys have to say.
I just want to thank our live studio audience here. This is
Unbelievable.
Nice to have you guys here. Really appreciate you coming down.
True Fan Travel, making it happen. This was fun. This is like our first real kind of live show since the draft.
Yeah. A little bit different vibes with our sweet baby MHJ since that time.
Talk a lot about Marv, which is pretty wild.
Yeah,
like, we've been.
That's how I feel like that's healthy, and just let him do his own thing. Like we were walking on the beach last night. I'm like, what is Marv doing right now? What do you think he's doing right now? I think about that a lot.
that back to you being unhealthy.
I think we brainstormed that he was just like staring out at the ocean waves in the darkness, right?
I think he had the VR hood on, working on his blocking. Actually,
there's never been a better time for Marvin to have a big game. We just ended on that. Like we need Superman cape, throw it on number 18, and get this team a dub. Everybody's talking about Tyreek Hill. It would be so poetic.
Get the band back together. Start the band.
Yeah.
Start the band.
Yeah, right. Get tickets right now. Yeah. See the band. Yeah. Big thanks to everybody. Subscribe to PHNX
There's still
Sports.
time. You're not going to be able to be in person with us on this Booze Cruise, but if you become a diehard today for $4 a month, you can get on the Booze Cruise and Spirit in the exclusive member Discord. There's going to be a lot of content there.
For Bo, Damon, Craig.
That's a warning for you all. Like you're going to be in the Discord, whatever you guys are going to be doing on the Booze Cruise.
We'll see everybody for your premier Arizona Cardinal pregame show, and then, of course, a postgame show live here from sunny South Beach. We'll see you then.
We all silly like the mayor.